Who is the GOAT? This is a question that has been asked in the MMA community for years. Everybody got different criterias and reasons for their number one choice. Today we will take a look at who the people consider the greatest of all time. Don't forget that their pick may change through the years and some of them may give a different answer at a different time. Enjoy.
First off, I've made this very clear. Fail steroid tests or anything, you're out.
You're out.
That's if
I love it.
The greatest fighter of all time. I think George St. Pierre, honestly.
I normally go with St. Pierre because I think he had the most dominant run of title defenses, but I've heard Anderson. I can't argue with Anderson.
There's a lot of guys, and again, you can't really compare the two, to today's fighters because the sport is so different. But I'd say GSP on merit.
George St. Pierre, he's my guy. I think, he really did it.
I would still have to lean towards GSP, but Khabib is a close second.
I don't think there is any argument. It definitely goes to George St. Pierre.
Everyone say, dude, GSP's the GOAT. So maybe he is, but I think, you got to go with Jon Jones right now.
Because of the era that Jon fought in and the opponents, I think I'll have to lean towards Jon.
Fighters, male and female.
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question, actually. I still consider Jon Jones.
15 world titles to your guys' 4. And you guys are really talking about who's the best fighter ever? You guys are joking, right? The only person that could possibly come back and challenge my record and what I've done in the UFC is possibly George St. Pierre.
If we're talking greatest of all time, it's a pretty easy argument. It's Jon Jones, I don't think there's much of an argument there.
No, I still think even right now, if you look at records, if you take away the one disqualification loss on Jon Jones's record, Jon Jones has been champ since he was 23. He's got 9, 10 veterans on his record. Khabib's got 3 title defenses on his record, and it's not comparable.
Nobody did what Jon Jones did. He's one of the best guys in this game. Nobody like him.
Khabib's definitely at the top of the list. I don't think I'd give him the very top of the list just based off of the quality of opponents that he's beaten based on Jon Jones.
But Jon Jones to me is probably one of the greatest fighters of all time. Besides the fact he likes to, choke women.
Anyone that says he is not the GOAT is brain dead to me. You know what I mean? Like, look at the names he beat. Beat Shogun for the belt, Rashad, Rampage, Machida, Gustafsson twice, Cormier twice. And when you look at them names, how anyone can say he's not the GOAT.
Always great learning from the GOAT, and that's why I consider him the GOAT, because as you saw with these last couple main events where one wrong move, one slip, and the fight's over. You could lose a fight so easily. Your knee could buckle, you could check, all of a sudden you're down, and to have a guy go that many fights undefeated, unblemished, no bleeding, like, that's why I consider him the GOAT, because I don't care who you're fighting against, anything could go wrong in there.
About mistakes, right? George made mistakes. George made a mistake in the Matt Serra fight, because if he wouldn't have, Matt Serra would never have beaten him. He was better, right? Khabib never made a mistake. So I think Khabib is the greatest fighter of all time.
Either Khabib or George St. Pierre. Khabib. He went out on top. He was unbeaten. He only ever lost 2 rounds in his entire career. And I don't think we'll ever see him fight again. But it's Khabib. It's Khabib. He ends up on top. He finishes on top. He retires on top. He's the champion. He's walking away, one of the biggest stars in the sport. And I just thought it was beautiful. The man has so much honor.
I'm not dumb enough to realize that Jon has a very, very compelling argument. He definitely does. Just for me, the performance-enhancing failures, drug test failures, multiple times, which Khabib never had. With the last few fights, which, a lot of people think he lost the Reyes fight, and then obviously the Thiago Santos fight was very close. Man, Khabib was just kind of, I don't want to say flawless, but he kind of was flawless in his career.
I think that Khabib's the number 1 guy in the pound list of all time. We've never seen dominance like this. He's never been cut, never been dropped. We have never been in the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight and thought, oh my God, he might lose.
Right,
you know?
but who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time? Is it you or Demetrius?
I think Demetrius.
Demetrius?
Yeah,
Well, that's
absolutely.
Can you definitively say that Demetrius Johnson is the greatest UFC fighter of all time?
Definitely.
But in my take, it's Demetrius Johnson, Jon Jones, Anderson Silva, GSP. Is there 5 or 4 in Mount Rushmore?
4.
And that's it. And I would put GSP number 4.
It's hard to say, but it might have been Mighty Mouse. Because when Mighty Mouse was in his prime, he was so magnificent.
So when you talk about like the GOAT, Royce Gracie, another one, did things that I think for me is the number one.
Actually, you know, I still consider Jon Jones. It's time to start talking about Kamaru Usman.
Sakuraba. You know, I know probably a lot of people wouldn't pick Saku, but you know, I'm a pro wrestler at heart.
I think the number one for me is Royce Gracie because